Hello! So a couple of days ago I received an email from a company called Authentikit that make replica controls for aircraft that we commonly see in flight simulators. One of the controls they make is a TPM or throttle prop mixture control for the PA24 Comanche, which obviously is very popular in flight simulator because it's very realistic, the A2A version of the PA24 Comanche. Okay, so they've sent me this box through the post, and this is going to build into a replica TPM or throttle prop mixture control. So let's unbox it and have a look what we've got in the box. So we're going to put the pieces off to one side. So we've got the logo here at SKS Sim Kit Supplies, who have packaged all the bits up nicely. So the actual product is designed by Authentikit and then packaged by SKS. Okay, so that's what it's going to look like when it's built. I'm not going to build it live on camera. I'm going to carefully build it myself, but I will take photos along the way and I'll post it as a blog post with the photo story of building it. But just to show you what's inside the box, let's go and remove the foam. So you can see there are two boxes in here. So I think this is going to be the box that will have all the controls in it, the plungers. And then this is going to be an electronics box, which will have all the wiring to make, basically I think the way they describe it is there is a common interface that they've developed to plug multiple boxes through one route into the computer. So we'll see how that goes, and obviously it will become obvious once it's constructed. So as you can see, there's lots of bags of bits here. I'm not going to undo them all now because I'll make a real mess with them. There's all the fixtures to attach the TPM module to your desk. So you can see various clamps in here and the various wires required. And inside here there's another bag of bits. So you can see the electronics in here. There's ribbon cables and there's nuts and bolts. And there's the main guts of the box that will have the plungers through it at some point in its construction. So I'm going to be busy building that over the next evening or two, and I will take lots of photos, and as I said, I'll write it all up as a blog post with the experience of building it. So thank you very much to Authentikit for sending this through to me. I have to say the 3D printing is very good on it, so I'm going to look forward to building this and trying it out with the PA24 in-flight simulator. Okay, so the very next video, probably cut onto the end of this, will be me playing with this unit once constructed. So I'll see you there. Okay, so there's all the bits laid out on the desk. So I've got a series of photographs now. So this is beginning to build the main unit that the controls fit into. And there's the felt going into the bottom, which will cause some friction. There's the beginnings of making a mag haul unit. Then we see a further completed mag haul unit. Then 3 of them with the cogs that will align them with the axes of each plunger. So there you can see the mixture control going in. And then the propeller, throttle and mixture control assembled. Then we're beginning to run the wires. And further information on the wires there with them going into ground points, things like that. And then you've got the assembled unit. So the fully completed main unit. And then you've got the control box. So the control box handles multiple devices at once. And then you've got it under the desk with the clips that came with it. Okay, so the build is complete. Here we have the Authentikit TPM control, or throttle propeller mixture control, installed on the desk. So I finished wiring it up today. It's taken me far longer than I thought it was going to, purely because of other draws on my time. So I've been really busy with work this week, busy with home. And yeah, trying to do this in the dark was a no-go because you need lots of light for the wiring. And you'll see that in the blog post. I've taken lots of pictures of the process. So you can see we've got a push-pull button for the parking brake. We've got the various plungers, which work really nicely. So you've got propeller, throttle, and mixture, obviously. And there's lots of friction on them. So it was really fascinating to build it, actually, to see how that all comes together inside. If you go and read the blog post that I've linked to on the video, you'll see that. So let's take it for a fly, shall we? Okay, so we are on the ground at Wickham Air Park. We have the A2A AccuSim Comanche 250 in front of us. And this is the aircraft that the Authentikit controls are a replica of. So through the magic of a little bit of dangling a webcam across the desk, and injecting it into the screen. You can see my desk now, picture in picture. So you should hopefully be able to see if I go and jump inside the cockpit, and if we go and look at the controls down here. So I'm just going to pop the yoke off so we can see these. So I have a control here. I can pull out the park brake and push it back in. I can manipulate the mixture control, and it's exactly analogous to the one in the aircraft. I can also use the throttle control. There's a lovely amount of friction on the throttle, on all the controls actually. So they really have done a bit of a number with this. It's very, very good. Okay, so let's go and work through the procedure of starting the airplane up. We'll take it for a little bit of a fly, and we'll see how this thing works. Hopefully the webcam doesn't move around too much. I'm just making sure that you can see what I can see. That's all very good. Okay, so I apologize for the wires everywhere. As you can see, I haven't actually routed anything properly. So if you saw the other way on the camera, the desk is completely covered in cables at the moment. But hopefully you get just to see this, which is good. Okay, so we need to go and start up the command sheet. So we're going to go and turn the rotating beacon light to on. And then we're going to go make sure the the fuel shut-off valves are open on the floor, which they now are. Mixture goes to rich or in, so that's the red knob. Then the propeller goes to high RPM, which is all the way in, which is good. I have to use the correct mouse here to move around the screen. I've got two screens, two computers here. It's a bit of a nightmare, to be honest. So master switch goes to on. Fuel pump goes to on. So we check the fuel pressure is rising over here, and you can see it very slowly is. There it goes. Then we can turn the fuel pump back to off. Okay, so we can use some of the keys to look around the cockpit. So Control 3 takes us over. So we can look at the primer, make sure we prime the engine. So we're going to do between 3 or 5 strokes. So we'll go for 4. I'm following my own checklist here for this aircraft. So magnetos and starter, we turn the key to both. And then we press the start button. Interesting. Let's try that again. I think we've got a flat battery. So we're going to cheat slightly here and go and have a look at the aircraft. Well, it's saying there's a new version of the airplane out, but it shouldn't affect us too much. So we want to go and look in maintenance. I suspect the battery's flat because it hasn't been used for months. Overhaul all. Oh, hello, the simulator has now frozen on us. This is the hazards of playing with Flight Simulator, isn't it? So we're going to overhaul all. Yes. So hopefully we'll get some battery now. So this just goes to show this airplane has been hangered for months. Give it a little bit of throttle and we get an engine. Hurrah! We're off to the races. So we'll wait for we'll run it up at 1000 RPM. So I'm just going to go and adjust the RPM. Having this fine control over the RPM is absolutely wonderful. So I was able to just watch the RPM over there, and being able to tweak it in such accuracy is a game changer. Okay, so what else we need to do? We're going to go and put the avionics on, if I can remember where the switch is for it. So we've got landing gear over here. Avionics master switch, here we go. We'll put the AP on as well. That's the master power for the AP. Let's go and put the radios on at this point. So they take a few seconds to power up. We'll put the transponder on standby. I mean, we're not going to be using any of this kit. We're just going to go and have a fly and focus on these controls, really. But you can change one of the ends of these to become the carb heat if you want to, depending on what aeroplane you're going to use it with, because obviously you could use this with any aeroplane really, although it's a replica of these controls for the Comanche. you don't have to use it for that. Okay, so we can clear that message and calibrate the altimeter, calibrate the HSI, and we'll taxi out. So do we get a taxi light in this aircraft? I don't think we do. So we do get strobe, but we don't want that until we get to the runway. We don't want pitot heat until we're at the runway. Okay, let's go and taxi out and see how we get on then. So I'm going to turn on head tracking at this point. So hopefully this is all going to work nicely. Let's just make sure I haven't moved that webcam. So yes, you can still see the controls, which is good. Okay, so propellers on high, mixtures on rich. So let's release the parking brake. But we didn't have the parking brake on actually. So pull is on. So we're just sitting here. Have we got chocks or anything? Yes, we have got chocks. So we need to go to the tablet to remove those, don't we? Where's the tablet? So home, flight info, controls. Remove the tie downs and the wheel chocks, and the menu's getting in our way as it famously tends to, and we're on our way already. So oh hello, I had a problem this morning with Flight Simulator. As soon as I booted it up, it destroyed all of my control profiles. So I've now discovered that the wheel brake button I did have mapped. I'm going to have no wheel brakes during this flight, which is going to be fun. But I don't think we may not even come in and land. We're just going to have a fly around. What I was using for wheel brakes has now been completely remapped. I did it on a trigger. So let's just fix that before we get into trouble with it. So apologies for this. I'll just pause record. Okay. So since I just paused the simulator, I fixed the joystick. A delivery man came to the door. I had to go and help with something the other side of the house. This is typical. This is why it took me 2 weeks to build this kit. So let me just check the camera is still pointing in the right place. It is. So yeah, this is why I end up recording videos in the middle of the night. Okay, so mixture's on rich, the propeller's on rich, and we are taxiing into the runway. And we'll hold short there, and we'll go for the parking brake. And look, this is just the randomness of Flight Simulator. It put the tie down back in place for the the control lock back in place. Okay, so we're going to go and put the strobes on. We're going to go and put the pitot heat on. I don't think we need the fuel pump. I think being ultra correct, we really should have the fuel pump for takeoff, but we're not going to worry too much about that. And let's see how we get on, shall we? So parking brake goes back in. Full throttle. So let's go and center our view back up as well. We have got covers on the the pitot covers were still in place. There we go. Sorry for hacking the aircraft in such a random, haphazard manner, but it's been, as I said, it's been one of those mornings, and this is why I usually record in the middle of the night. I'm amazed that I've managed to make it more than a few seconds into this without being stopped again. Okay, so throttle can come back to about 2300. It's very cool, isn't it? Also, the RPM was down to about 2300 there, so we can play games now very, very accurately with the manifold pressure and the propeller RPM, which we never could really do with making an Airbus quadrant do double duty as all these different things. So we can now very, very accurately fly an aeroplane around. So I know I'm not following the correct pattern at Wickham today. We're just going to loop back around and come back in. This is not the correct pattern, so don't worry. I just want to validate that these controls are working, and they are working absolutely wonderfully. I am really pleased with this. So huge thanks go to Authentikit for sending me out this copy, and for the assistance they've given me during the build. There was a couple of screws that were not quite in the right place in the kit. Yeah, I've lost my hat switch configuration as well. So yeah, Flight Sim did that horrendous thing this morning where it threw my profiles away for half of my controls. So I am absolutely dreading, to be honest, plugging in the Airbus quadrant later, because if it's lost its profiles, I've lost probably about 40 profiles for different aeroplanes. And of course there's no way of backing them up. They're backed up in the cloud, and it decided that it didn't have them anymore for whatever reason. Yeah, and not having trim is a nightmare, because I'm now having to fly the aeroplane in a very strange manner. Of course, the next thing I will need now, and I don't have here, is flap control. So I haven't got a physical control. It's on my Airbus quadrant to do flaps, unless I plugged it in as well, and then I could use that as a physical control for the flaps. Thankfully, I seem to remember in Flight Simulator, yeah, I remember the keys from many years ago. So, propeller back to max. Keep an eye on the indicated airspeed. We really should have the landing lights on, I guess. So we're looking for one white and one red VASI light when we get there. We've got two whites at the moment. So we're a little bit high. A little bit fast as well. Yeah, the fine control this gives you over the throttle really is something else, to be honest. So if you are trying to build the muscle memory to fly a particular aircraft, the kits that Authentikit make are fantastic. I will admit I am absolutely not a builder, so it's been a journey for me. There's been some nerve-wracking moments wiring things up internally in the boxes, and you can see that in the blog post. There we go, we're down. I've just landed with no gear, haven't I? Because I haven't got a gear control. Or have I? Let's have a look. Oh no, I'm fine. I did remember the gear. I'm just not used to the sounds that the A2A makes. I was going to say, if I'd landed with no gear, we would have seen the propeller hilariously crunch itself into the ground. I'd forgotten just how good the sounds are on the A2A Comanche. It's a long time since I've flown it. But yeah, this Authentikit control kit, the replica TPM controls for the Comanche are fantastic. As I said earlier, it's taken me far longer to build than it should have, purely because of other draws on my time. and wanting to do it in daylight so I could actually take photographs along the way and see what I was doing. So one of the huge tips that the guys at Authentikit give in their instructional video, when you're doing the wiring at least, is to do it in daylight, because it is fiddly and you do need to see what you're doing. And some of the finer control steps around setting up the or building some of the smaller, more fiddly structures inside the unit take a little bit of effort. You know, a little bit of care then, not effort. And having good light and a magnifying glass if you need it, or lights to aim at what you're looking at will help. Something else I had to be very careful with, I'm partially colourblind, so when it came to the wiring I had to be very methodical and very careful. It was fine though. There were no colours that caused me any real problems where I had to go and ask anybody. Okay, let's go and park up. Okay, so parking brake on, and we can play games with the mixture control now, and the propeller control. So if we go and pull the propeller control back, we can very, very accurately restrict this engine. Let's pull the mixture back very slowly. There we go, we killed the engine. Okay, so I'm going to go and turn the mags off. Oops. Turn all the electrical systems off in the aeroplane. And the avionics master switch is over here. Autopilot can come off. So there we go. Hopefully that's been helpful to you. So these controls, the Authentikit controls, have been absolutely brilliant during the flight. So I've been amazed actually at how good it is. It was a bit nervy when I first plugged it in this morning to get, to make sure I'd wired it up correctly. But the video instruction that they give on the website is absolutely brilliant. So there's lots of documentation that comes with it, but the video really saved me. So yes, the makers from Authentikit work through building the entire unit from scratch, and it's easy to follow. It's very, very good. So this unit, I'll put a link in the notes of the video to the Authentikit website where you can find it. And yes, I can't recommend it enough. It's fantastic. So huge thanks to Authentikit for sending it through to me, and to SKS SimKit Supplies for bundling the kit up. So you can 3D print the Authentikit kits yourself, or SimKit Supplies will actually send you a box with all the bits, which is what I received. And it was very, very well packaged, and everything made sense during the build. So there we go. I'm going to leave it there. Hopefully you've enjoyed that. And again, huge thanks to Authentikit for sending this through to me. See you again soon.